Good day, my fellow Florida Panther fans, and those of you who are fans of other teams who are joining us today. Do me a favor, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new. I really appreciate that. Like to see these this time of the year help the channel grow. Now, rare is the day when, for any of us, when we have said something 6 months ago or 8 months ago, and we said, I'm going to come back to this. You watch, I'm going to come back. And rare is the time when we actually do get to come back and go, ha, I got you. We got you. Now, in a sort of way, today is one of those days for me. So what I'm going to be doing is something I've been saying I was going to do. I've been waiting. Okay, I had to wait for the Panthers to be in the playoffs and for the Flames to be out of the playoffs before I really felt that this video would be appropriate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the video that I put out the morning of the Tkachuk trade and go over some of the comments. Now, I looked at the comments about a couple weeks ago, and that's what gave me the idea to wait and do this. But I don't have anything. I don't have it all lined up and everything ready to go, so I don't remember everything that everybody said. But before I get into that, I need to set this up properly so that the people that are new to the channel or haven't heard this before, I need you to pay attention to the context here of why, just why. Here is my YouTube studio. Now, you'll notice July 21st, Florida Panthers possible Tkachuk trade, who goes and who stays. That is on July 21st. 2 days later, July 23rd, Florida Panthers trade Huberdeau Uyghur for Tkachuk, 7 a.m. reaction. Now, that's the video that we're going to go over the comments on. However, what I want to do is so that anybody new understands, on this video, the Florida Panthers possible Tkachuk trade, I'm going to, let's get us back here to about 7:25. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, right about there. And just want to refamiliarize everyone, or if you're new, this is what I said in my video about the possible Tkachuk trade 2 days before the trade went down. Deal, right? Look, business is business, and Huberdeau is closing in on 30. Now, if you called up Calgary and said, hey, Huberdeau, Uyghur, and give him any other prospect than a first, not Lundell, but Huberdeau, Uyghur, a first, any other prospect. If Calgary said yes, I pull the trigger because I'd rather have 8 more years of Tkachuk than 8 more years of Huberdeau because the age difference, just the age difference alone. Okay, so you get the point. 2 days before the trade actually happened, right here, I said that, and then the trade happened. Now, we're going to go into the video where I discussed the trade that morning. It was only a short 3.5-minute video where mainly I was shocked that I had predicted it and shocked that it had happened all at the same time, because I had literally just found out 5 minutes before recording on my phone that it had happened. So I want to go into that video so we can take a look at some of the comments that were left. Okay, this should be fun. All right, we're sharing the right thing. We are sharing the right thing. Beautiful. Here we go. 7 a.m. reaction, and it was 7 a.m. Now, we got 214 comments. I'm not going to be able to go over every single one, but I'm obviously going to pick and choose. I'm going to pick and choose some doozies. Let's see. We've got in Zito we trust. We've got a like. Let's see. There's a Leafs fan. Congratulations. I believe Tkachuk is the wild, highly skilled player guy you need. That's Adam Cram. Good take. Good take. We've got some more agreement. MJ says, I'm shocked. Never thought Tkachuk would be taking his talents to South Beach, a.k.a. Sunrise. So there's another agreement. There's Trey Sarver. I like the trade. Bob says, short term, it's a net loss of talents, but Tkachuk's 8-year contract is worth more than Huberdeau's and Uyghur's 1-year contract. Tkachuk's 8-year contract is now worth more than Huberdeau's 8-year contract. That's for damn sure. So, yeah, remember at this point, we didn't know, right? We had no idea if, either one of those guys were going to sign, long term. And we'll finish the comments here. All right, there's a couple people saying, I can't believe Charles called it. Chris has got the right idea. Smart dump for the future. Absolutely hate that my Bolts have to play this rivalry. The word I can't say with Tkachuk on that team. Let's see. John says, throwing the first rounder at the end was insane. Florida needed this, and so did Calgary. The first rounder was just a complete steal. Not a terrible take, but I'm gonna disagree at this point. I'm gonna have to disagree, but we'll see what that first rounder, what that turns into, right? Let's see. Here's a Flames fan. Tkachuk is a beast. It sucks to be a fan of this team right now. Our top 2 guys are gone. He had the right idea. Let's see. Here's another Calgary fan. Congrats on winning the Tkachuk lottery. He's saying this is kind of an important one, so I'm going to read it. Cheers from Calgary. Congrats on winning the Tkachuk lottery. As a Flames fan, it's frustrating that another star player didn't want to play here due to high taxes, too much scrutiny by fans and media, cold weather, and a long list of flights for away games. I would also have to add in the coach, man. I think it's clear at this point, Calgary needs a coaching change. Absolutely. All right, let's see. Vincent thinks it's a good deal for both teams. We got some more people just laughing and liking it. Let's see. More people liking it. Oilers six-pack says, don't worry, Huberdeau will be back after next year. Now, I don't think he's going to be back here, but that's not a terrible take in the sense that you never know if Calgary shops him at all, right? You never know if Calgary shops him at all. I suspect you're going to see a coaching change before you see any more players changing. Let's see. Justin says, the problem is Florida is gambling on Tkachuk getting better or staying the same. There's a possibility he decreases in production. I think we're good, Justin. Think we're good, right? Let's see. Let's see. As a Lightning fan, I sympathize and understand what Panther fans are going through right now. Fans of other teams rarely understand the future cap implications, consideration, the team that isn't their own. He thinks Panthers came out well. They gained costs certainly with Tkachuk and shed uncertainty by trading Huberdeau and Uyghur. So far, some pretty decent takes here. So happy Uyghur is gone. Hate to lose Hubie. Got that. Let's see. Brian says, I think we paid a little too much for him. He would have liked to have seen us save the pick. Yeah. No. that was a perfectly understandable and reasonable take at that point. But now I make that trade 10 times out of 10. Okay. And look, especially when you've got a GM like Bill Zito, who takes everybody else's trash, is like, I'll take that. I'll take that. I have some Forsling. I have some Montour. I have some, give me some of that Mahura. Who's this guy? Verhage? Give me some of that. He takes all. So picks are highly overrated when you have a guy like Zito right now. Brendan says they should have kept Uyghur. Guy is criminally underrated. I think Brandon Montour would would kind of disagree there a little bit. There's some more people impressed by the fact that I picked the trade. Mr. Howard says, great trade. Hubie wants 10 to 10.5 per. No way. There you go. There you go. Whoever M. Howard is, perfect. Perfectly. Now, again, that was before he signed that deal. So let's see. Craig says Hube can take his partying talents to Calgary. Niall says this is a beautiful day. All right. Let's see. Coop, the first sentence, this is Coop original. The first sentence, she says, I'm pretty sure this is Heather. She says, I'm not sure how to feel, especially having my phone wake me up to give me this news. That's literally was my first, like, verbatim out of my head was like, I don't know how I feel about this. Just staring at my phone. This can't be real. This can't be real. Let's see. Leafs fan. Yep. Okay. He's happy about it. Here's a Calgary fan. Says, congratulations, Panther. Tkachuk is great. Loads fun to watch. Wish he stayed here in Calgary. Hopefully he takes the big step, becomes a playoff leader for you. All right. So far we've got decent takes. Nothing extreme, right? Let's see. Terry says, wow, from a Hawks fan, it seems to me the Panthers gave up way too much for Tkachuk. No, we're good. We're good. Not a terrible take. Now, so far, nobody has come in and been like nasty or anything like that, right? It's just normal takes. And, some of them were right. Some of them not as right. Hassan says, I'm conflicted. I don't know whether to be happy for you or angry for you. I understand that for sure. Let's see. Yeah, Bill had predicted a Hubie trade in the comments. Yeah, Bill had said just trade Huberdeau. I remember that. Let's see. We got a good deal for the Panthers. We just got Tiger Hands calling me Nostradamus. What a day that was. What a day that was. So let's see. Nicholas has got a good take here. Weegar and Huberdeau are both UFAs after the season. They are not worth as much as you think compared to a young Tkachuk willing to sign an 8-year deal. Exactly. And Nicholas, it's a shame the Flames did not listen to you, man. That's for sure. It's a shame because both. Now, Weegar pretty much had a Weegar season, right? I didn't really hear any complaints or overwhelming compliments coming out Weegar's end. I think Flames fans understandably saw Huberdeau 115 points and thought that was the guy they were getting. All right, let's see here. Kush loves the deal for both sides. Exactly. Yeah, Daniel sums up a lot of people's thoughts in that moment. It makes sense, I think. I believe in Zito. That's I think a lot of us were right there in that moment, Daniel. Okay, Jen McCall, I hope I got that right. So I'm happy for the Flames fans, but I don't agree with the other markets saying we got fleeced. Definitely did not get fleeced, right? All right, we've got some more agreement. Let's see. Wayne says, I'm not a fan of either team, but I'm blown away that Calgary got a boatload for Chucky. I don't know much about Huberdeau, but I guess he's way more. Wayne, this is a bad take, unfortunately, for you, man. You seem like a nice guy, but he says, I don't know much about Huberdeau, but I guess he has way more character than Tkachuk. I think Florida just shot themselves in the foot. No, it was the other way around, man. But if you admitted to not knowing, so that's okay. That's all right. There's plenty of players I don't know a lot about, but it was the opposite way around, my friend. Let's see. I'm right says trade overall. I'll give a slight edge to the Flames because of the first round pick, but a direct swap for Tkachuk. I think the Panthers get the W in that deal. Right. Now, I know that's not the fourth person that brought up that extra pick. Of course, when the Flames use that pick, if the dude turns into the next Gretzky or something, it's not likely to be a real high pick, right? I forget which year it was. I know it's not this year's. So you're talking about a guy that, wouldn't affect the Flames for 4 to 5 years. But while I don't think it's going to swing the trade any one way or another, sometimes guys that are considered throw-ins to a deal end up being a big piece later on, okay? Vincent Trocheck, a piece of that deal was Eetu Luostarinen, okay? So I understand the idea about the first-round pick, but that's not something we'll be able to judge for quite some time. Yellow Snowman with the first not-so-great take of the day here. This trade was big for Tampa. Panthers got worse up front, and on the blue line, the Kitty Cats got fleeced. Yeah, sorry, Yellow Snowman. It's not exactly the way it worked out. WhiteGT says, absolutely awful trade unless they weren't going to re-sign. That's 2 bad takes in a row. Maybe as we get on into the comments here, that definitely we could not have afforded both. Okay, there's no way you can afford Huberdeau, Weegar, Montour, Forsling, Lundell. It's just there's just not enough money there for all of those guys. So somebody was going to go, which was kind of my thought process when I, quote, predicted the trade. I kind of thought they already had in the back of their mind they weren't going to re-sign Weegar. And then once you got to where, okay, we're not going to re-sign Weegar, and Tkachuk became available, it's like, who can we give them? What would make this even, right? And Huberdeau. True World was speechless. There's another person about the prediction. Let's see. Christopher says, good move by both teams in the long run. My only complaint was Florida should have gotten a pick in return for Hubes and Weegs, first-round prospect, first-round pick for Chuck, and basically nothing for Hube and Weegs. Looks basically like a dump by Florida. I'm not really I don't think that's the way it would have, my opinion. Calgary is going to have wanted players. Okay, Calgary wanted players because Gaudreau and Tkachuk, right? So if you look at it, my opinion, from their point of view, Tkachuk for Huberdeau and Weegar, okay, and the first and Cole Schwindt because they were both UFAs. And there was no guarantee that either one of those guys was going to sign. That's kind of how I looked at it at that point anyway. Justin says the top-heavy Atlantic Division has become even less top-heavy. Not exactly. Definitely didn't work out that way. Now, the Atlantic is definitely more, in a sense, you're correct, but not for the reasons that you probably were thinking. Yes, the Panthers had fewer points. We're only finishing, I think, 4 or 5 points out of Tampa, right? So it's not like, teams have drop-off. But because of Buffalo, Detroit, Ottawa getting so much better, yeah, the division has definitely become a little bit more condensed. All right, let's see. Lil J Lil J says Calgary didn't really win this trade. It's Weegar. The first will be garbage, and who knows when Schwindt will be ready. I don't think Hubie will enjoy being a Flame. As for Matthew, he wants to be here, and we will see. But Zito, I trust. Perfect. Exactly. There's somebody that realized, man, Huberdeau can't be happy, right? Here's Tim wanting to know what the Powerball numbers were. Ethan says, huge W. I'm glad to finally get rid of Weegar, the most overrated player in the NHL. Plus, Huber's turning 30. Again, not happy about the first round pick, and I get that. Look, the first round pick does look worse when you look at it from the perspective of we just gave a first for Giroux and a first for Sherratt. So I understand the idea about the first round pick being a little bit much. But I think now in hindsight, I'm good with it. All right, so we've got more agreement with the trade. Here's Gators. Tim says Uyghur is gone. Uyghur is gone. Let's see. Now, Rick Martin, this is an interesting prediction. He says, I hope you Panthers like the Montreal Canadiens because Huberdeau will join the boys. I guess that's how you pronounce it. In Montreal in 2 years. You heard it here first. That would be the only way that's going to happen, Rick, is if Huberdeau was to waive his no move clause and tell Calgary, trade me to Montreal. Like, that's where he would really want to go. That said, I ain't never going to say never. That's for damn sure. Okay, here we go. I have to take a sip before this one because this is one I remembered. I think it's all O Metal says Florida got fleeced. Let's keep it real, people. We have no clue how good Matthew Tkachuk is without Johnny Hockey. Let's not pretend he's going to be the playmaker that Johnny Hockey is. Plus, a first-rounder prospect and Mackenzie Weegar. WTF was Florida thinking? I know Tkachuk is an attractive winger, but Florida gave up too much. Is Florida really a better team? The contract is almost the same AAV. My opinion is that Florida should have kept what they had and stuck with the core and added some wingers from the bottom six and give it some time like the Avs, Tampa, and Washington did. Dumbest fucking move ever. I don't even think – I think that comment stands on its own. We've all been there. We've all been there where we're just dead sure on something. We lay it all out. And then 6 months later, turns out we were about as wrong as we possibly could be. That one was fun, though. That one was fun. All right, let's see. Adam says, as good as Tkachuk is, I think the Flames won this trade. Nah, not really. Let's see. Soflo says, gave up too much for Tkachuk, and now we have a huge hole on defense. We've still yet to trade Hornquist and put Duclair on LTIR, so maybe we're not done yet. Maybe we sign Klingberg or Subban. Aha! Soflo underestimated Brandon Montour. Well, a lot of people did, which is fine. Yeah, that hole that we have on defense, look, let's face it. You couldn't have predicted Montour was going to blow up the way he did. Nobody predicted Mark Stahl would be a functional defender, right? And everybody was like, Mahura, who, what? So in Soflo's defense, at the time, he was not wrong about the hole that it left us on defense. It just was an underestimation of Zito's superpowers to fill that hole. All right, let's see. Crid saying the same thing. I feel like this trade made Florida take a pretty big defensive hit, right? But we fixed that. Let's see. Now, Chris is – this one was interesting because he combined them all. He said bad asset management from the Panthers for Matthew Tkachuk in 20 games of Giroux and Sherratt. The Panthers traded Huberdeau, Weegar, Tippett, a 1, a 1, a 1, a 3, and 2 prospects. When you put it all together like that, yeah, of course. However, what I would say is this trade helps alleviate some of the – I didn't really have a problem with the Giroux trade. The Sherratt thing, not happy about. Losing Owen Tippett, definitely. You guys know how I feel about Owen Tippett. Was not happy about. So I can't necessarily seriously disagree when you look at it all as a whole before the season. But now, look, if we win a cup with Tkachuk, it doesn't matter what we gave up. And that's just it. And again, I understand, the first, and the third, right? And the prospects. I get that. But again, Zito with Verhaeghe and Montour and Forsling and Mahura, okay? Bringing in a Sam Bennett, Reinhart, He's really good at bringing in unknown players and guys that have yet to establish themselves to be equal with their draft capital. So I think in the end, I'm a big asset management guy. Okay, I'm somebody who ripped talent a lot. The Sherratt deal, to me, the Sherratt deal was the one where you shake your head and say that was overkill. That's the one that we probably should have never done. All right, let's see. We just got some more agreement here. Let's see. Andy says this would have been decent without Jonathan Huberdeau. I guess assuming we would have never got Tkachuk though, man, for that kind of price. You know what I mean? Let's see. Couscous 2 says, "Fool, we got fleeced by Calgary." Mwah. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like that one. Let's see. Anthony says, "I don't think Florida got better. You can make the case they got worse. Everyone wants that sexy new superstar." E Pants said, "Fleeced." John Greystone says, "You paid way too much. You need to change them way too steep of a price. Florida got robbed." Okay. Now I'm enjoying myself. Let's see. This is the next one. Now, I think this comment I replied to, and it was he wasn't meaning to say it to me, but I'm going to read it anyway because he says, "This guy know nothing about hockey. Matthew Tkachuk is 24 and a really good physical player. That is a 100-point superstar. UB 29. What's he saying?" I think what happened is this guy was agreeing with the trade, but he was responding to somebody in the comments saying that person didn't know anything about hockey. And we straightened it out. We straightened it out in the end. That's one of those things where, I try not to be overly snarky when I reply to somebody because there's always things that are lost in translation, or sometimes, we think we're replying to one person and it ends up being another. So let's see. Nick says, "Now you did it. Florida just got screwed really hard. So hard." Lauren Milton says, "Not sure why you think Chucky will be better than Huberdeau. He had only 15 points in like 26 playoff games, and you're paying almost $10 million for that. Have fun with that." Christian Duarte says, "This is a horrible trade. Zito was going to regret this." Now we're having fun now, people. Now this is just rolling. And that was it. Is that it? Yeah, that's the end. That's the end. So I think that this is the perfect. Let me blow that one up. In fact, I'm going to screenshot it because Christian, unfortunately for you, you just became the thumbnail. All right. That was fun. Now, if you notice the comments on my channel, pretty much nice. Even the people that disagree, it's not Twitter-esque, right? There was nobody being nasty or anything like that. Just your normal run-of-the-mill, not so great takes. Last thing I'll say is I understand about the first-round picks. When you cumulatively look at the first-round picks, the Panthers have given up what we had to show for it. I will agree that it doesn't look specifically fantastic, but we got Carter Verhaeghe for zippity doodah, basically. Okay, somebody would give us a first, no problem. Sam Bennett was 2 2s. It wasn't even a first. Now Reinhart was Levi in a first. Pending Spencer Knight, that one could not look great. I will grant you that one, okay? But we drafted Levi after we already had Bob and Spencer Knight, and Levi is a cat that wants to play, okay? So I'm not so sure we would have been able to keep him happy here in the organization, all right? So, but that's definitely still a pending. And in terms of the Tkachuk trade, it's 95% been vetted that the Panthers won that trade. The Flames still do have the first round pick, and depending on what they do with it, who that pick turns into, that will definitely add to their trade value. Now, one last thing. The Flames went into the offseason and they were so proud that they re-signed Huberdeau and Weegar. I don't think Weegar is going to be going anywhere. I haven't seen, like I said, I haven't seen a lot of talk about Weegar. I haven't seen Flames fan going, man, I can't believe we signed this guy. Huberdeau, on the other hand, we've seen all of the things, okay, right? The possibility exists, although I don't know with this contract now. I think Calgary is going to get a new coach, and I don't think they're really going to attempt to move Huberdeau. However, don't underestimate the possibility that Huberdeau comes to them and says, I want to be moved. He was not a happy camper, okay? The whole season, he certainly was not happy at the end of the offseason. I suspect you might get Huberdeau in the GM's office saying, what are we going to do? You're either going to get maybe Huberdeau can pull a power move. He's the guy. He's the guy that just got the big contract, right? He's the guy that you signed max, right? Now, the fan base is already like, we already had Gaudreau leave. We already had Tkachuk leave. We already had these two big superstars that don't want to be here anymore. That does give Huberdeau the leverage to go into the GM's office and be like, you either trading me or you're going to get us a new coach. Now, I don't know if Huberdeau's that kind of person, that kind of guy to do that. But if he wanted to, this scenario would give him enough leverage to pull a power move. And what's the worst? If he goes in there and he says, I demand a trade, I mean, it's not like he can sit out, right? It could get ugly, but I suspect after all of this trauma that the Flames fans have been through, and I joke and I kid with you guys because, most of you have been very, very nice to me. There have been a couple of people, but every fan base has those couple of people. But I feel bad for you guys because the problem should have been evident, right? I mean, when your two best players, some superstars in their prime, don't want to stay, there's a problem. And it cost you this season, and it might cost you Huberdeau's attitude, so to speak, to have found out it was Sutter all along. So we'll see how that goes. But the point was that if somehow magical rainbow unicorns rain down and the Flames are able to move Huberdeau, you would then have to include whatever they got for Huberdeau in the trade, which might make it a little bit better for them. But I don't think that's going to happen because who's taking that contract? They paid Huberdeau for a 115-point season. And last thing, I said this in a comment to somebody else's a Flames channel. I get it. Flames management saw the 115 points and said, he's going to do that here. Sign him. He can repeat that history here. Sign him. And the reason why I know how that feels is because the Panthers did that with Dave Bolin, okay? He had a lucky deflection that helped them win a cup, all right? And the next thing you know, we're signing him. He's going to be the grit and the heart and the soul. And they signed him to a deal like this dude was going to be out there scoring cup-winning goals every year. So I get the feeling, Flames fans. I genuinely do. Hopefully you guys get a good coach. Huberdeau is not going to get you 115 points most of the time. Huberdeau is a 75 to 85-point guy. He's got to have wingers around him that will score on his passes. That's his game. He's not going to come in and get you 40 goals. It's not going to happen. He's not going to put the team on his back and carry you. If you give him the right couple of guys on his line, he can get you 70, 80 assists as we've seen. So, all right. I still got to do the podcast, so I need to shut up now so I save a little bit of voice. Panthers are in. We're going to find out tonight a little bit more about possible seeding. We'll see how that works out. I get this up to you guys. Really appreciate all the support. Like I said, make sure you hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. We're going to be streaming not just Panther playoffs, not just Panther playoffs. We got a lot of different streaming coming up. So, all right. Appreciate all the support, and we'll see you again real soon.